And we're back on Take Action News. This is Daniel Marins in for David Shuster today on Saturday, February 23rd. You can follow us on YouTube and get all of our clips for free in your inbox at youtube.com/takeactionnewstv. We also encourage you to like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/takeactionnews. Of course, follow me, twitter.com/Daniel Marins, Marans. The Hagel nomination has now become intertwined with the John Brennan nomination for the director of the Central Intelligence Agency. It seems the Republicans have hit an area that they think is a soft target for the Obama administration, and that is their foreign policy nominations. They are saying that they're holding up both of them for more answers about Benghazi and what happened there. Joining us now to talk about this and other matters is Zed Jelani. He's a lead blogger and writer for the Progressive Campaign Change Committee, their blog, The Daily Change. Zed, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Daniel.
So, Zed, the latest reporting is now that the White House, to avoid giving Democrats information on the legal justification for targeted killings, which senators like Ron Wyden of Oregon are asking for, that they might give information about Benghazi to Republicans to then confirm Brennan and Hagel in one fell swoop in a bipartisan fashion, lose some liberal Democratic votes in the process. What do you make of that?
You know, it's really it's something I think that's sort of symbolic of how these debates normally go in Congress, in that it feels like the Obama administration has a sentiment towards the Democrats in Congress that they can more safely ignore when they make requests than the Republicans. You know, for example, I know that I talked to a staffer for one Democratic senator who was sort of critical of John Brennan and wanted to know more about targeted killings and torture and so on and so forth. And he was telling me that they don't think they can support Brennan, but I think at the same time, no Democratic senator plans to do anything like join a filibuster against Brennan. Whereas on the other side, with Hagel and with Benghazi, which is totally unrelated to Hagel, so it's a very strange excuse to filibuster him. You'll see that the Republicans were doing everything they can to drag the process out and to filibuster, to hold, and to not allow a vote to come up. So it's almost as if, on the one hand, Obama doesn't respect the Democrats in Congress as much as the Republicans in one sense, but on the other hand, it's also that the Democrats themselves have sort of, they create that perception by not being willing to take the same steps as the Republicans to block a part of the Obama agenda that they may not agree with.
Zed, that's such a great point, and I see it in domestic policy as well. And of course, I always disclose here on the air when I talk about these issues that during the week I do work as the policy director of Social Security Works, a group that's fighting to protect Social Security from cuts. But in that austerity debate as well, that Democrats will disagree with the president, but they're not willing to, even in some cases, vote against a plan that he would propose, even if they find some of the individual policies objectionable. Should Democrats revive the filibuster against a Democratic president?
I mean, it's sort of a weird spot in the sense that Democrats were also leading the charge to reform the filibuster. So I sort of understand that. They don't want to be too publicly on the spot of saying we're using the filibuster, but we think it's bad. But at the same time, they did enact some slight reforms to that process, and the system's still broken. So it's almost like you're unilaterally disarming by not utilizing those tools to your benefit when the other side's using them. And the other thing is that when the Republicans utilize the filibuster and all these other procedural blocks, they're stopping judges from being brought to federal courts. They're doing all sorts of things that are just messing up the machinations of government. And I think that's very different than using some of these tools to get answers from the administration about serious civil liberties issues, or by defending the majority of American people's opinion on programs like Social Security and Medicare. Like, if you're using some sort of obstruction to do that, really, to me, you're standing up for what your constituents want. And that's very different than the Republicans, who are often doing, I think, just for purely, to get at Obama, just from personal grudges or for politics. It's very different to do it for, I think, a serious reason. So it's not just, the tactic you're using, but the justification for the tactic, I think, is very different in the two cases.